Today's video is brought to you by my amazing patrons on Patreon. Priority deck requests and extended discussions are just some of the many perks you get for being a patron. Consider supporting the channel today. Welcome back to today's build. Whether you're just looking for upgrades or have no idea how to build this deck, I'll be your guide to this wonderful game we all love. Let's get started. Today's deck will rule the cosmos. His name is Imotekh, and this is Shards of Twilight. Imotekh's ability doesn't track how many things leave our graveyard, but instead tracks how many instances of something we have leaving our graveyard. What this means is that first, we need ways to fill the graveyard. Then, ways to generate multiple instances of exactly one card leaving our graveyard at a time. Exile effects are easiest to come by, but the least useful for us, so we'll try to cut down on those. What the deck is not asking us for is to go wide on artifact creatures. Imotekh doesn't get any better with 10 artifact creatures in play than he does with 2. The payoff is where we're going wide, not the setup. But black doesn't have the same kind of go wide finishers that green does. This limits how many real options we have for closing the game. But there is one very elegant combo made of some very natural inclusions. To accommodate this, we'll also be adopting something of an early control stance rather than trying to turbo out Necrons. These cards all make Necrons the wrong ways at the wrong price. Make no mistake, we will be making Necrons, just not by casting these cards. And since that's not really the focus of the deck, I can't justify spending this much mana on these pieces. We'll take them out to make room for these cards. It's control, but not at a rate that scales to our ability to ramp. These cards just aren't efficient enough. We'll swap them out for these upgrades. These cards can reanimate. They can take cards out of our graveyard, but once again, this is a case of the wrong kind of object. Technomancer reanimating multiple targets really isn't what we're trying to do. We're trying to generate multiple instances of exactly one reanimation, not a whole bunch of reanimations at once. We'll swap them out for these cards. So what do our lands look like? Right away, Buried Ruin should be in every one of these decks. It's inexpensive, and since this is a monocolor deck with lots of artifacts, the colorless is barely a downside at all. At its worst, you crack it to get back a key piece, and at best, you get to do that while making a pair of 2/2s. I also have to recommend Cabal's Stronghold, but not Coffers or Urborg. Coffers is only cut for its price tag, but Urborg does next to nothing for us, and really isn't necessary in mono black. Lastly, I'm including Cryptic Caves and Temple of the False God. When it comes down to the late game, any extra mana and card draw we can get is worth it, and we're playing exactly the kind of deck that can take advantage of both of these effects. Temple is a little controversial, but at the start of the year, I started working on a very special lands project whose results really helped pair up for me the decks that Temple most belongs in, which is why it's been showing up a little more lately. So what's our timeline? To kick things off, our best early plays are ramp, and these pieces especially serve other roles in the deck that we'll examine later. Next, we'll set up some card draw to keep us churning through our deck, before pivoting to some light interaction, before our opponent's resources take over the board. After quelling the board, we'll push through our deck further, and commit more resources to the board, which are conveniently either ignored or repurposed by some of our sweepers. Turn 6 is our target for Imotekh. Anytime before then, it's really difficult to do anything with the graveyard because it's not fully stocked. Luckily, we've been filling it while building up to this moment. With some very disposable Necrons in play, we'll go to combat, buffing one with Imotekh, and after combat, sacrificing them to any of these effects to enter the final stage of our deck, where we'll weaponize cards like Mirror Retriever, Workshop Assistant, and Junk Diver. These cards can go in multiple directions to facilitate a win, so I'll walk through each of them. Pairing any one of these cards with Nim Deathmantle and Ashnod's Altar will create infinite Necrons and infinite colorless mana, which we can give haste with Crashing Drawbridge. If Canoptek Spider is in play, you can also get to draw your whole deck, though this isn't necessary. The second way is my preferred way. If you can get more than one of these pieces on board with Ashnod's Altar, you can still make infinite Necrons and infinite colorless mana, but with a twist. If we consider Scrap Trawler as one of these pieces, we can get back an extra artifact while executing this loop, and we played a few artifacts earlier that can sacrifice themselves for certain advantages. Looping the Bauble will dump all our swamps into play, and looping the Mindstone can draw our deck as well. Finding Lightning Greaves and Crashing Drawbridge together makes our infinite Necrons extremely lethal. Remember that both of these interactions came from the natural synergies of the deck, combined with this package of cards that are all doing things we already wanted to do. This deck can win very quickly, but being in mono black lacks a lot of the interaction it would need to really punch up a notch. I think power levels are best couched in terms of projected game length and focus and interaction. If we ever get better black interaction though, watch out, this card is really well designed and can be enjoyed by fans and strangers to Warhammer alike.
A very special thanks to all my amazing patrons. When I started this channel, I wanted to talk about deck building decisions with my videos, but in practice what ends up happening is that I talk for 30 minutes about all the nuance of a deck, which is longer than I'm comfortable with posting to YouTube. Here, patrons can request priority deck techs, access extended discussions on their favorite decks, in-depth guides on complex game actions, and more.
So if you enjoy this content, consider becoming a patron today. One of the things my patrons have made possible is a special series of deck techs that I'm really excited to show off to you guys. When I finally get them all uploaded, I'll be giving away a special collection of altars and tokens that I've made, corresponding to each deck on the channel. For example, for the Merkle Lord of Bones deck, the prize is a set of double-faced altars of the most prominent cards in the deck, whose backsides are set in the constellation frame with updated text to show that they're acting as enchantments now. For every 1,000 views on each video, I'll increase the prize pool for that deck. All you have to do to be eligible to win is be subscribed to the channel.
Consider supporting the channel today. If you like this video, here are some of the decks I'm working on next, so if you like what you see, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any, and check out the playlist in the top left for more. Thanks for watching!